I think Indian retail is actually going through a very interesting phase. Some of the older retailers are currently in the process of rationalizing their network. Some of the relatively newer retailers are actually expanding. Lots of international brands are coming into the Indian market in the single brand retail space. Lots of interest amongst multi-brand retailers as to what are the plays in India. So I think when you really look at it, and e-commerce is rapidly growing. So when you really look at it, it's multi-channel, it's domestic, it's international, it is specialty, it's food. So several things are currently happening in the Indian retail market, and I think that's what's going to make it very interesting. And I think coupled with probably a better economic climate in the course of the next 2 to 3 years, I think we should see a lot of excitement in the Indian retail market. Business, I think, has been challenging in the year 2013, to say the least. The year started well in the first quarter, but I think unfortunately in the next 2 quarters, which is primarily July to September and October to December, hasn't panned out as planned for most retailers. And I think it's largely a reflection of the belt tightening that consumers are doing. And I think more importantly, the confidence that they have in their own future, as well as the impact of inflation on their discretionary incomes. And I think all of these coupled have slowed down the consumer's desire to upgrade, to buy. So my own feeling is that 2013 is probably going to be a bit of a watershed year for Indian retail. We had a much better 2012, and we all look forward with great expectation to 2014. RLS, I think, has always differentiated itself on the fact that it is by retailers for retailers. And when you really look at the presence at any of the RLS summits, what you do find is that there are a large number of single store, 2-3 store chain retailers who come from across the country because they feel that this is their forum. And they feel it because of the fact that they come in here, they understand sessions which are relevant to them. They also are able to meet with other fellow retailers around. And it's one time in the year when they begin to believe that they need to come back here to refresh their knowledge of retailing. So in that sense, RLS has always been occupied a special place in the hearts and minds of Indian retailers. And I think clearly that is what makes RLS special. Like every year, I think RLS 2014 will also focus on a special theme. And the theme this year is about emerging markets. And I think we have a lot to learn from what is happening in the world of retail around us. So when we look at other emerging markets around in Southeast Asia and in some parts of Eastern Europe, there are great learnings that all of us can take from these markets. And these markets tend to be markets which have gone through the same state that India is at, but probably 5 or 10 years prior to this. So when we look at emerging, one, there is emerging in terms of markets that we can learn from. The second is in terms of emerging consumer segments. There are a significant number of consumer segments which are today existing in India. So even when we look at a true Indian household, we actually see the up to 20-year-olds, for example, and then you have those who have got into their first job, and then you have those who are like all of us, parents, and then of course you have the grandparents. And when you really look at it, there are segments which we never thought represented buying power, which is the less than 20-year-olds. But today, what you do realize is more than 65 to 70% of the buying decisions in a house are actually influenced or taken by the less than 20-year-olds. And also in terms of their lifestyles, they lead a very different lifestyle compared to the older generation. So they're all very technology savvy, they're instrumented, they're interconnected, they talk with their fingers. So even to communicate with these new segments, I think is going to be a big challenge for all of us who are in the retail business. There are newer channels which are emerging. So whether it's television channels, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's home delivery, whether it's multi-level marketing, there are several new channels of retail emerging, which are finally going to reach the customers. And I think that's another area that all of us will actually learn from. So to my mind, I think the theme for 2014 is a very, very appropriate theme considering the fact that We have several new emerging segments which we need to understand a lot better if we want to be more successful in our retail business.